it helps mitigate through ongoing dialogue and recommendations. So we can pat ourselves on the back, but it is a mistake for this money to be expensed. And I think it would be a mistake for us not to highlight in some way that it causes problems while it tries to fix them.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure we say this in there. After we introduce it, before how it works. Citywide process includes opportunities for projects specific to each borough as well as, because you say citywide, but it isn't actually citywide. It's
Borough.
It's by borough, and then the 3 neighborhoods.
No.
Okay.
So anyway, that's just a note that could go in there. And the rest, I think, are just typos.
We still need 1, 2, 3,
Yes. 4.
5. We still need a few more for quorum, correct? Is Amy on the phone and Natalie or?
Amy's on the phone.
On the phone.
Yes.
Here's Eve.
There's Eve.
Good morning. Feel free to move yourself down closer. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember where we put your tag. There you are.
I know you should be joining the few of them.
We've met yet.
Welcome. Hi, it's Holly. It's Holly Bonner.
Okay.
Who else are we expecting in person?
Yeah, all mics are already on.
Okay.
It's just because he can be hands down. On mics already, you don't have to edit those.
Okay.
Okay, please.
So we should leave them on.
Yeah, leave them.
Okay.
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 Are we live already or?
Are we live? Yes.
Oh, we are. Okay.
I'm not sure why Joan Kennedy's is against. Joan Kennedy, the former wife of.
Was she passed?
Yeah, apparently.
That bring
For space.
I'll get it.
For those who are with us online, we're just waiting for quorum to begin the meeting.
Yes.
got a new phone. It's obviously the master of me.
I don't have the envelope for it. What happened? Do we have to print it?
But
I don't see it in the.
it's in the feed.
Yeah, I know, but I.
You're welcome to, this is a messy, because it converted it to Google Docs.
Oh.
So the pictures aren't there and the formatting's all off.
Missing about one or two more people to start quorum, to have quorum, correct?
It's master's program, but we're doing a program drive in partnership with both schools.
On the phone, because I'm not able to see your name. So we're just trying to confirm.
It's
if
Holly
we have-
Bonner. It's Holly Bonner.
Who's online? Sorry, who was? Holly? Hi, Holly.
Yeah, it's Holly. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Okay, great. And Natalie and Amy, are you also online?
Yes, Natalie is here. I had to drop the WebEx and go to phone for internet at the location, but it's fine. I'm here.
Okay.
And
Okay,
Amy's on the phone as well. I can't get the WebEx to work.
Okay. You can hear us okay on the phone?
Yes.
Perfectly.
Okay. Okay, great. I think we can start. I now call to order the Civic Engagement Commission's public meeting. Welcome, everyone, and to those also online who've been waiting patiently. Thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you to the commissioners for gathering on today's meeting. We have a couple of things to vote on, so it'll be a packed meeting. And thanks to Abby and Abdul and the team for your help with getting this meeting organized and getting us all here. So I'm going to just start with attendance. Murad Awade, Gio Barsanis,
Present.
Eve Barron,
Present.
Holly Bonner,
Present on the phone.
Amy Breedlove,
Present on the phone.
Natalie DeVito,
Present.
Mark Diller,
Here.
Donna Gill, Edwin Maxwell, I know it's out, Joshua Ocampo,
Here.
Lillian Perez, Mitchell Wu. Okay, and we actually also have, we learned we have a new commissioner who has been appointed from City Council. And Frank, you're on the line as well, correct?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I am on.
Hi, Frank. Well, we're looking forward to welcoming you next time around and really glad that you could join us on the phone. Thank you so much. And my name is Dr. Sarah Said, and I'm one of the 15 commissioners appointed to the Civic Engagement Commission. I'm the chair and executive director. We are live streaming today, and I would just want to thank our partners, GBTC Sound and our captioning services for help with today's meeting. And we are doing our very best to follow open meeting guidelines to keep our work as transparent as possible and engage the public in our decision making. And if you are online with us, we'd love for you to go to our website, nyc.gov/civic engagement, go to the tab marked Get Involved, and you will be able to sign up for the newsletter on the left side of the page. And we'd love for you to stay in touch and for us to stay in touch with you. So we do have our usual technology and housekeeping, but I think some of the things may be different because we are in a different space. So for example, we do not want the folks here to mute your mics, but the ones on the phone should mute their mics. If you want to make a comment, a public comment, you can add your name and affiliation to make a comment, and you can text and 917-587-9103, and you'll be able to sign up to comment until noon or 12:15 rather. And we will check the text, and if you'd like to comment, hopefully there's time at the end and we can call on you. Okay, we are going to move forward with approving the minutes from August 2025. So all the commissioners should have those minutes. And wondering if there are any edits or additions to the minutes.
Hearing none, I move to approve.
And the commissioners who are on the phone, if you could unmute your mic for the vote. There were no additions or corrections, so there was a motion to approve and a second. So all in favor, if you could say aye to approve.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are unanimously approved. Next, we are going to move forward and talk about the resolution to the voter language assistance methodology. And there are some changes to the methodology, and we are looking to inform you about those changes leading up to the November election. So Anila, I don't know if you want to start by sharing with us what the updates are. You can go to the next slide, I think.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. There are changes to the jurisdictions where the voter language assistance program will be providing services going forward. Those changes are due to amendments to the New York, to the Voting Rights Act, John Lewis Voting Rights Act of New York. So based on that, on those amendments, we will no longer be providing services, Bengali services in Brooklyn, Urdu services in Brooklyn, and Chinese interpretation services on Staten Island. So the first amendments are under paragraph 5, jurisdictions. We're adding Bengali, Brooklyn to the Bengali services, Urdu for Brooklyn, and Chinese services on Staten Island. So for those 3 languages, I'm reading the last sentence of paragraph 5, jurisdictions. Therefore, the following languages will not be served by this program in the following jurisdictions: Bengali, Queens and Brooklyn, Chinese, including Cantonese Mandarin in Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and Staten Island, Korean, Queens, Spanish, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and Staten Island, Urdu, Brooklyn. Furthermore, the text of that paragraph changes to, I'm going to read it in its entirety minus the jurisdictions that I just listed. Program eligible jurisdictions, the program will provide oral language assistance in all program eligible languages citywide, except that the program will not provide oral language assistance in a program eligible language covered by the Federal Voting Rights Act in a jurisdiction where such language has been determined to be a covered language by such law. Additionally, the program will not provide interpreter assistance at a poll site where the Board of Elections of the City of New York has stated an intention to provide the same service in the same language. Therefore, the following languages will not be served by this program in the following jurisdictions, except upon request by the Board of Elections, where the obligation to provide poll site assistance is being transferred from Civic Engagement Commission to the board. Again, the list of jurisdiction continues with edits to Bengali, adding Brooklyn as an accepted jurisdiction, Staten Island for Chinese, and Urdu for Brooklyn.
Just to note that the deck version that you may be looking at doesn't have the language about except upon request. However, it should be in the resolution that you were mailed. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. The changes that we just spoke about then lead to changes in paragraph 7, polling place allotment. We have to update, we're updating the CVALEP populations and percent share for each of the program eligible languages, given the shrinking in population eligible for our services. Since Urdu speaking voters in Brooklyn, Chinese speaking voters on Staten Island, and Bangla speaking voters in Brooklyn are no longer eligible for those services. Furthermore, we are proposing an amendment to
Go to the next slide. Maybe even the follow. You can go to the following one. Yeah. Thank you.
We're proposing an amendment, an edit to paragraph 11. we're adding the following. To maximize resources while expanding access, a second language service in a program eligible language may be added to the poll sites that emerge in the original allotment round, provided that the second language service represents the second highest CVA-LEP group for that poll site and has a minimum of 200 citizen of voting age with limited English proficiency. The resulting proportionality may vary from the original percent share for each program eligible CVA-LEP group, but will not reduce services from the initial allotment round for any language group.
Okay, are there any questions about the changes to the resolution? Donna?
Yeah. My question is, you're saying that in paragraph 7, the Benning Island, and the languages that we're not going to be provided assistance for, is it the eligibility or is it the fact that the Board of Elections is providing these languages? Or are these people not going to be served?
Sorry, I cannot hear you very well, Donna.
The languages that we're no longer serving in these areas,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that this areas are no longer eligible.
First service.
Is providing the service or
The Board of Election is taking over those services. So, with amendments to the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, thresholds for the Board of Election for the 4 major groups that are covered by the Federal Voting Rights Act are being lowered. And based on those lower thresholds, the Board of Election now is mandated to provide these services that we used to provide so far. So they're taking over Urdu in Brooklyn, Bangla interpretation services in Brooklyn, as well as Chinese interpretation services on Staten Island. So it's being transferred over to the Board of Election.
See, that wasn't clear because, you said eligible and then it doesn't say who's going to be doing it for those people.
So, yeah. Yeah,
because
sorry about that. So the exceptions listed there are all exceptions or services that are covered by the Board of Election. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Mark.
Under jurisdictions, item 5, you list 5 languages and various boroughs. Is it the case that with the implementation of this amendment or change, we will no longer serve any of those languages anywhere? In other words, does this completely eliminate, for example, Urdu?
No. So Urdu is still part of our voter language assistance program languages. And it only means that the total CVLEP number of Urdu speakers makes up a smaller percent share, right? It's a smaller group of speakers of Urdu citywide that are eligible for our services. And as of now, Urdu poll sites emerge in Queens. So instead of like 6 or 7% share that they had before, they now make up like 3% share of our services. Therefore, they will get 3% of services citywide, wherever those poll sites with Urdu speakers are.
Understood. So in effect, there will still be somewhere in our network that each of these 5 languages will be served, even though it won't be Brooklyn for Urdu.
Yeah, so the only exception to that is Spanish because the Board of Election covers that citywide.
Well, that's kind of my point, is that if we're completely eliminating, Spanish was never one of our.
Has never been, yeah.
Right. So what I'm trying to ascertain is whether there is a language that we will no longer serve anywhere such that the next language ought to ratchet up into the mix.
No.
Okay, thank
you. Mm-hmm.
I have a question too.
Yes, Josh.
And so the Board of Elections will be the ones to provide these language translation services. for these boroughs, for these languages, except when requested? Is that the case for Urdu and Bengali, Brooklyn and Queens?
Is that the case? I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I guess my question would be, except when it is requested by the Board of Elections?
I guess that change would address situations when transitions takes place too close to elections. So if there is a need and we are asked by the Board of Election to share certain jurisdictions in the transition period, we may be able to do so by introducing this amendment and at the chairs and executive directors' approval, obviously.
There is an additional language that was added, right? It was Tagalog. Added.
Yeah. One of the languages that made the Board of Election language selection is Tagalog for Queens. So that's a new addition for interpretation services.
Question, for Board of Elections, did they expand the number of languages they're supporting, or did one drop off their list?
No, they do not drop off their list. So they can only add as long as the thresholds are met. So also, when we talk about these jurisdictions, it doesn't mean that they'll be providing, for example, Urdu citywide. They will be providing Urdu services at Brooklyn poll sites where the number of voters who are deemed to speak those languages meet the threshold that's been set for the Board of Election.
Thanks, that's helpful.
Does anyone on the phone have any questions or anyone else here?
All good, thank you.
All good? Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the updates to the resolution?
Make motion to approve the updates resolution.
And I'll second.
Okay, for the commissioners on the phone, if you could unmute for the vote. All in favor, if you could please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so we have approved the updates to the voter language assistance methodology and wishing our team and the Board of Elections a lot of luck. It's coming November. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the annual report. This will take a while to get through. We have, the way that we have tried to do this, you can go to the next slide. And the next one. We put a lot into the annual report because there's a lot that the team does. And just as a reminder to ourselves, not all of it is required for us to vote on. The charter allows us to add, additional items that we think are important, but there are some minimum requirements of what we should put in the annual report. So we attempted to include those items in the slides. We haven't put everything that's in the annual report that you got into the deck. So we try to be focused in what we're going through today, but in the deck, you will note that there are specific requirements for participatory budgeting, where we are asked to report on the number of people who participated by the program, disaggregated by borough, any voluntarily disclosed information about participants, reported in aggregate and anonymized form, the number of projects selected for recommendation, again, disaggregated by borough, a description of some of the outreach that we are doing, and recommendations to changes to improve participation, and any other information that we think is relevant. And then for poll sites, language assistance, the voter language assistance program, we're asked to report on the location of poll sites, where we're providing services, what languages we provided, the number of people who utilize these language services. And then, improvements to the program, and then any other information that we think is relevant. And then community boards to make a description report on the resources that we made available, including the trainings, the number of boards that utilize the trainings, again, disaggregated by borough. So we're going to begin with the voter language assistance program. And Anil, I'll give it to you to take us through that section.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Voter language assistance. During the past fiscal year, the 2025 fiscal year, we provided services for 2 regular elections, the November 2024 general election, as well as the June 2025 primary election, as well as 3 special elections, which based on our methodology, we were mandated to cover where there was an overlap with poll sites that were covered in the prior general election. In terms of utilization of services, for the November 2024 general election marked a significant increase. We assisted a total of 2,237 voters with language services, and another 47, I believe, received general assistance from our interpreters. Compared to the November 2023 utilization, that utilization rate marked a 4-fold increase. In terms of, next slide, please. In terms of the June 2025 primary utilization rates, we assisted a total of 555 voters. Compared to the June 2024 primary election, it again marked a significant increase. In June 2024, we only assisted 115 LEP voters. We continue to raise awareness of our services, and in terms of, next slide, please. And we believe that the efforts to conduct outreach and utilize our networks and city agencies led to a higher utilization rate for the November election, but that rate reflects the general trend in voter turnout. It was an important election, and we believe that that contributed to the high utilization numbers. As of now, we have assisted over 9,000 voters with limited English proficiency through our interpretation services. As you all know, in June, we piloted the first partnership ever with community-based organizations that operate in voter language assistance communities, and through info sessions in language and the partnership we established with 13 community-based organizations, we were able to educate 450 voters, roughly, on ranked choice voting, voting rights, and CEC's voter interpretation services. We have also partnered with the outreach team and the Language Assistance Advisory Committee to conduct outreach in priority areas, areas with or language communities with low utilization of our services. We have, for the June primary, we conducted outreach in South Brooklyn, Sunset Park, Bay Ridge, Parkchester in the Bronx, Little Haiti in Brooklyn, Brighton Beach, and Bath Beach. And we covered most of the VLA language communities with our outreach efforts. The Language Assistance Advisory Committee has continued to contribute to our efforts to reach VLA program communities, for November last year, they helped organize several info sessions in language communities. They are constantly helping us with checking quality of translations and materials that we translate and put out for the general and primary elections. They also contribute by recording messages in their language. We provide a script, and they record these messages in language, which we also make part of our digital toolkit that we develop and disseminate every time there's an election. And our next meeting of the Language Assistance Advisory Committee is next week. I'm not sure I've ever mentioned this, but in the past couple of years, we are trying to meet in person with the Language Assistance Advisory Committee at least twice a year. So the kickoff meeting for the 2025 cohort back in late February was in person. And we're also meeting next week in person to try to strengthen the partnership with the 20 plus members of the advisory.
Thank you, Anila. Are there any questions on this section or edits to the annual report related to the VLA program?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are you all still recruiting for the Language Access Advisory Committee, or is it the committee is already complete and?
We have at least one representative for each of the voter language assistance groups, but we still accept applications. In fact, we do need a second member for some of the languages such as Yiddish, Italian, French. So the goal is to have 2 members for each language, but that has not been met for all of the languages. So if you want to recommend anyone, please do so. We'll circulate the form. Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Questions on this section? Okay, if not, anyone on the phone have any questions or edits to the voter language assistance section in the annual report?
No.
Okay. So we can move on to participatory budgeting, the
Thank you.
people's money. And Lauren's going to come up and start to walk us through that. We'll also have Wendy supporting and doing part of the presentation as well. So Lauren, go for it.
Good morning. Nice to see you all again. Go to the next slide. I'll give a bit of background on the people's money process. So projects were implemented in cycle 2 alongside the running of cycle 3 for participatory budgeting. The process was open to all New Yorkers, residents aged 11 and older, regardless of immigration status. The allocation was $4 million for projects that were selected in the vote phase for cycle 3, and we collected ballots in the boroughs, and the projects were implemented in TRIE neighborhoods. All right, so about phase 4, project implementation. In cycle 2, phase 4, the CEC partnered with local organizations to develop and execute community-driven projects. These were placed in task force for racial inclusion and equity neighborhoods. In cycle 2, the projects addressed a wide range of community needs that were identified by New Yorkers, and I will give a more detailed breakdown on these issue areas in a minute. Topics included education, civic engagement, health and well-being, safety, and arts. And all projects were proposed, vetted, and voted on by New Yorkers through the people's money, which engaged over 1,039,688 people. So this is a breakdown of the winning projects from cycle 2, which ran 2024 to 2025. There were 20 projects funded between $150,000 to $200,000 each, implemented across New York. Again, those topics, you can see the breakdown and distribution, health and well-being, accessibility, career development, education, public safety, arts, and culture. And on the next slide here, we have our funding breakdowns. We had 5 projects in the Bronx at $174,000 each, 5 projects in Brooklyn at 200,000 each, 4 projects in Manhattan at 150,000 each, 5 projects in Queens at 170,000 each, 1 project in Staten Island at 180,000, for a total of 20 projects and a total allocation of $3.5 million. The next slide here gives a breakdown of our timeline for the project implementation phase. So I won't go into excruciating detail, but the planning phase was from October to January, the goal being to identify the desired impacts and determine project activities, outputs, and outcomes. The implementation phase ran from January to now, October 2025. We're wrapping up as we speak. The goal being to successfully implement impactful projects in the TRIE neighborhoods. The evaluation period lasted from April to October of 2025, the goal being to evaluate and report out on the impact of these projects in the communities. You can see the associated deliverables here as well if you're curious. All right. Now to give a little bit of details on the outputs of these projects, based on a total of 99 monthly reports, which were submitted by our partners from January to August during their implementation period and the writing of the report. The most common project output was the delivery of workshops. You can see that here in figure 2. It was 468 workshops conducted, all along topics of disability rights, financial literacy, employment readiness, mental health, and self-defense. 7,069 unique participants were engaged, and 74 community events were held. This is a more detailed breakdown of the outputs of these projects. You can see here, we had 74 events totaling or reaching 2,574 people. 944 people received one-on-one consultations, 2,364 people received resources, and 4,174 people were reached through outreach and canvassing efforts. And to give a glimpse into some more qualitative outcomes of these projects, we have here just some impactful quotes. One project participant from the Mothers Matter project in Manhattan said, "Thanks to the support of Mothers Matter project, I was able to avoid eviction and stay in my home. They helped me navigate the resources available, and without them, I don't know where I'd be." Another participant from a Queens project based on healthy food and healthy eating said, "I used to think healthy food was too expensive and complicated, but now I know how to prep meals for the week and with just a few ingredients. My kids even ask for the veggie stir fry now." And here we have some more detailed about the outcomes and outputs of specific projects. I'm going to give this one as an example, but if you're curious to see the rest, of course, we have our YouTube playlist, the videos of all the projects, and there's a couple more slides that give a similar glimpse into other projects. So in Brooklyn, the project Home Repair Liaisons for Older Adults provided skills and leadership training to youth and connected them with older adults who needed light home repair services. So they had 15 training sessions with 82 participants, and the students learned hands-on skills like picture hanging, furniture assembly, appliance repair, gutter cleaning, and landscaping.
You know how many single moms have called and said, "Listen, my son can now change my lock because of your program"? My name is Kamara Jackson, and I'm the founder and executive director of Elite Learners, Inc. So this is the youth maintenance repair project. Elite Learners is fortunate enough to train young people in maintenance repair skills in which they're going to utilize these skills to do free home repairs for seniors.
This project is making a difference in like my ability. I'm learning more skills and the ability to paint. I didn't know like there's certain safety protocols at first, and I painted my own room before, and I didn't even know what to do with it. Like I was just doing regular painting stuff. But I had the stuff on the floor, but I didn't have anything else, and I just had a painting brush, not even a roller and stuff. I got involved with the program last August, and I've been with them since. We were just talking and conversating, having a good time. While it's the same time we're learning about painting too. Something that like not a lot of people get to do. Connect with people that you don't really know, never really heard of since yesterday, but you get to know them now and become a brotherhood.
With this grant, it allows for young people to come to us after school between the ages of 16 and 24, and they're getting entrepreneur skills.
It's always good to have a skill under your belt, and if I can get past this program, know how to paint, get my own money, start my own company.
We're keeping young men out the street, young women out the street, so it's a safe haven. Oftentimes, the relationship between youth and seniors are missing. There's no connection. We're bringing back that connection. It's a win-win.
The achievement for here while I'm here is to be able to like paint a senior citizen's home and like them to be able to appreciate it and like how the wall looks at least. Yeah, I'm excited to at least make them happy, more happy about where they're living at least. Yeah. This program helps you with a lot of things, and a lot of people don't know how to paint nowadays. Our generation is not the best generation, so if I could recommend to anybody in the world, I would.
We have the ideas, we have the creativity, we have the instructors and the willpower. It's just the resources to be able to continuously serve. We're just overjoyed with the opportunity. That's it?
Thank you. Go for it. We're going to move into process now. Thank you, Lauren.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to walk us through cycle 3 and just noting that it was a great project. I did actually, we all kind of chipped in to go do some site visits. I got out to see that, meet some of the participants. It was a great group, and I can confirm that it's not a simple thing to paint. I painted my entire apartment the wrong way. Okay, so for cycle 3, starting with idea generation session, just recapping, we had about just under 10,000 New Yorkers participate in idea generation workshops. 502 sessions were held. With the help of our partners, 173 were held in 3 neighborhoods. We collected a total of 3,728 ideas. And we had a 38% response rate on surveys for those participants. Of those who responded, a full 89% found the facilitation very or extremely effective, and 85% found the education on the city budget and understanding the allocation of the city budget to be extremely effective. And that is something that we continue to measure because we do want to try and, as we start talking about priorities and thinking about how the community members want to utilize our allocation, understanding how the budget is structured and how where the funding is allocated overall is critical. Great, next slide. We also had a 200% increase in assembly applications, which is great. The larger our applicant pool, the more demographically representative our committees will be. So we went from 500 to 1,500 applications. We selected 107 members of the boroughs to participate in that were selected through sortition that would be responsible for vetting and deliberating on the ideas that would go forward on the ballot. We keep seeing every single year that folks want more time. This is something that continuously surprises us. New Yorkers are busy. We started with, I believe, either 12 or 14 hours, and now we're up to 20. We raised it from 16 to 20, again, in response to people feeling they wanted more time to deliberate and to have conversations and think through what projects they thought should go forward. We had it's a range of the number of projects that each borough is vetting, a high of 100 in Brooklyn and 65 in Staten Island. In terms of our feedback, again, we do surveys with all of our participants. For sentiment tracking, 80% were confident. And this is a bit of a trust measure that their recommendations would be put forward. And 65% found the CEC to be very trustworthy, and 87% agreed that direct democracy is important. Results of our vote phase. We had a total of 82 community partners, which included 47 community organizations that were we're engaging in communities outside of the tree neighborhoods along with the 30 tree organizations. They conducted in-person and online outreach. We also worked with over 100 library branches that hosted ballot boxes and had QR codes available. Our New York City residents cast a total of 131,527 ballots, which is in line with what we've been seeing over the past several years. The majority has been paper, and that is a reflection of the in-person strategy that our partners have been taking in having conversations about PB and getting people to vote. And we did see 18,581 digital votes. By borough, Bronx saw over 29,000 votes, Manhattan 21,000, Brooklyn over 32,000, Queens over 37,000, and Staten Island over 11,000 votes. And our ballots were translated into all 12 languages. 31,559 ballots were cast in a language other than English. The top 3 languages were Spanish with 18,879, followed by 4,694 in Chinese, and 2,231 in Bengali. Okay. I won't go through every single statistic you can see in the annual report, but just a few highlights. For the vote phase, youth between 11 and 17 made up 18% of voters, which is great. That's really high. I believe the population of New York City under 18 in total from 0 to 18 is about 20%, although that number has been declining and we're seeing a decrease in 18 and under. So we're overrepresenting 11 and 17-year-olds. And we're also seeing a good rate of participation for young adults between 35 and 44 at 16%. By gender, next slide, the majority, just over 50%, 57.6 are identify as women. I will say that we are seeing that gap is decreasing over time. I think it was, higher last year, and I think each year we're trying to work with partners who are able to reach men to try and get more men involved in our process. For next slide, vote phase. By priority population, we continue to work with partners who can reach underserved high priority populations for the CEC. 22% of participants were English language learners, 8% were public housing residents, and 3% were involved in the justice system. Next slide. As far as race, the highest category by race of participants, Black and African American at 30%, 16% Asian, 15% white, 12% preferred not to say, and the rest distributed among other categories, including Middle Eastern, Indigenous, etc. Lastly, on demographics of our vote phase, 28.7% identified as Latino, which is pretty commensurate with the population in New York City. Moving to the outcome of the vote phase. Our cycle 3 projects. Just quickly recapping the breakdown of funding in the Bronx, 5 projects were funded at $200,000. Brooklyn, 5 projects were funded at $235,000. Manhattan, 4 projects at $165,000. 5 projects in Queens at $195,000. Staten Island, 1 project at $190,000. It was interesting this year. We saw a lot of workforce development programs in general, and then also those that were selected on the ballot. So definitely the single largest category. We had 7 workforce development projects of 6 impact areas. Next slide. I don't know that I need to read out every single project, but you can see the projects that were selected by borough. And I'll also just give a quick update on the TRIE initiative. Recap from last year. Last year, we awarded 30 community-based organizations to serve as TRIE administrators across 31 neighborhoods to promote social cohesion, community building, foster collaboration, strengthen community networks, and increase access for New York City residents to decision-making processes. We're continuing to boost the coalition building component of this work. We work with the organizations to, part of their deliverables is to meet with their coalitions, working with them on the agendas and pulling them into our process. Also encouraging them to make those coalition meetings meaningful for the coalitions themselves, not just in service of the people's money. They conducted over 120 meetings with 225 participants from a variety of sectors and fields in their communities. And additionally, we understand that being a part of a coalition can also mean their participation and contribution to the process, and that might require resource sharing. The TNAs allocated over $260,000 of their funding in partnership with these organizations. That was through a combination of things: stipends, honorariums, gift cards, coalition meeting event costs. And we continue to work with our community-based organizations in the TRIE neighborhoods and encourage that kind of collective resource sharing. In terms of idea generation sessions, the TNAs hosted 173 idea generation workshops. They engaged 3,700 unique participants and generated over 1,300 ideas. Just sharing a quick quote of the impact of these and the experience that TRIE partners are having. Many participants expressed excitement about being involved in the session, emphasizing how meaningful it was to have their voices heard in shaping decisions about how New York City's expense budget should be allocated. We're also integrating the TRIE organizations into our assemblies. The TRIE organizations we know have a relationship with their communities. They are serving their communities. If they're ear on the ground in those communities, and we have been inviting them in to meet our assembly members and talk about what they're seeing and hearing with our assembly committee members, and sharing the priorities that they're seeing and the needs that they're seeing. Social services, accessibility, workforce development, were all identified by over half of the TRIE coalitions, which you can also see is reflected in the projects that went for the ballot and the projects that New Yorkers in fact selected. Also, over 77,000 ballots were submitted by residents of TRIE neighborhoods, and which is almost 60% of the total ballot count. They contributed through multiple engagement strategies, including meeting priority populations where they're at in person, mobilizing volunteers, connecting with community boards, relational organizing to boost through digital engagement.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions or edits related to participatory budgeting?
I have a couple.
Okay, great.
It's in the text that was circulated, kind of at the top. I can't give you a page number. Well, I guess page 12, maybe that's.
Or just say the section it's under.
Okay, well, the way that this prints out is not particularly helpful.
Okay, okay. I'll try to follow along.
All right, so under the topic heading People's Money,
Mm-hmm.
in that first paragraph, I think there's, you do note that the People's Money is mayoral expense funding. So I would insert, and I'll give the text that I've written now, but the concept is that we ought to call the contradistinction that the district-based, city council district-based PB is capital funding, or almost entirely capital funding. I would add at the end a sentence, which is going to be my broken record, which is that expense money presents difficulties with respect to serving populations in that you can't hire a permanent employee with a one-year allocation. So you can serve a need. And some of the ones here are one and done that you highlighted, which is terrific. For example, the one about learning to paint. That's it's a complete cycle and doesn't, but in previous years, we had things that served mothers in need, for example, and badly phrasing it, but, and that need will continue next year, even if the funding doesn't. And so my thought was that, and I believe this is part of the work now, is that we include in our work with these recipients, with these people who win the voting, that some part of their PB process is learning to replace the income that we are able to provide for 1 year so that the good work they're doing can continue beyond. So with that in mind, I would propose a sentence at the end of the introductory paragraph that says, awards of expense money present unique challenges for recipient organizations that the CEC helps to mitigate through ongoing dialogue and recommendations. I'm not wedded to the language, but the point I think should be made. And then we make the statement a couple of times that this is a citywide process, but it is, I think we would do well to clarify that by saying that it's a citywide process, borough by borough plus the TRIE neighborhoods, as opposed to one process for the entire city. I think that's equitable. I think it's appropriate. I think we should just note it. So the additional sentence I would add there is the citywide process includes opportunities for projects specific to each borough, as well as additional opportunities for projects that benefit the 33 TRIE neighborhoods. So those are the two edits I would propose to the text as I received it. Yeah, those are the two that I think would enhance the text as it's presented. While I have the floor, I'll say that going beyond the bare minimum of what the charter requires us to do, considering that this this agency is underfunded, is a good idea, so that we can make the case by all the good work that we're doing that that we need more funding for all this work, plus some of the things that are just not able to be as complete as perhaps we would all like. So making the case more robustly is a good idea, and I support and appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else have questions or edits on participatory budgeting?
Sarah, may I just respond to
Yes, of course.
one thing that Mark said? I just want to share that Mothers Matter, in fact, was able to secure funding for an additional year as a result of the capacity building that we've been providing. That is a full curriculum of project cycle management, as well as evaluation. So they did successfully secure funding.
So they replaced the income
They
through
did.
us or through other? That's
because
exactly what we want.
because of the capacity building curriculum that we require all of the organizations to partake in. And we ensure that they utilize part of the funding that they get to support that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point, and the point of the insert that I would propose is that
Yes.
that's an essential part
Agreed.
of continuing, so that we don't just fix a one-time.
Yeah, I think it's an important challenge to acknowledge, as well as noting where we have seen success in the mitigation steps that we are taking to support the organizations to address sustainability.
Excellent, thank you.
And the other thing yes, Donna.
Because
Sure.
when I was hearing Mark speak, he was talking about it, but I know we had discussed this about having them have some way of continuance and capacity building. So I'm really happy to hear that that is happening. It has happened. I think Mark's suggestion or concern about that was all of our concerns at the very beginning of this process. So I think in the report, if we were to put something about the capacity building for continuation of these services, I think that may be showing that we're showing that this is not a one and done thing. This is something that we're trying to do to maintain these services.
Yeah, and we did include that partnership in the strategic partnerships section and in that section as well. And Sarah, maybe we can just go back to it and make sure that the connection is clear, that is part of this, not a complete solution, but part of our, and I'll just, the other interesting pattern we are seeing is that we obviously put out a solicitation for these projects, and organizations can apply, we recruit, we get new partners into the mix. We are seeing quite a few partners continue with us. And that enables them to extend, expand in the areas that they're working, or perhaps in another area. So just noting that the one and done isn't always the case, and some of the partners continue on with us for another year.
Right. Well, it's one of them with us, but then they can continue to work, and that's the point.
Or with us. Because they get another, they are awarded another cycle of implementation.
Yeah, let's just make sure a team that is included in the project highlights section about Mothers Matter.
Yep.
And also
good
just
flag.
noting when we are talking about the capacity building workshops, just to talk about sustainability. I can't recall now if we did, but let's just double check.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Donna.
Oh, anyone else? I just want to make sure before you walk away. Sorry, just making sure. Anyone on the phone have any questions or comments? Okay, I think we're good. Yeah.
Is it still 3.5 million for this new cycle that's coming up?
It's 4 million.
Okay.
Yeah, last year was 4 million. This year will be 4 million. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's 4 million, but 3.5 is the awards, and then 500,000 is the process and
4 million is the allocation. We still haven't had our allocation restored to the 5 million that we initially had.
Year 2 was 3.5.
Year 2 was 3.5 because, well,
It's a peg. It's a peg.
yeah.
because it's PEG. Yeah. Yeah. Short answer.
You have a chart in here that shows that the sum of the awards was 3.5. Am I getting that wrong?
Yeah, it's a little confusing. On the first slide where we reviewed it, we said it was 4 million. That's the allocation for this year.
Right.
But on the table that is shown for cycle 2 projects, it totals to 3.5, and that's correct.
That was cycle 2.
Oh, because that's the.
That was
Cycle
previous.
2. Yeah, exactly. Because the project.
It's like year 2, cycle 2. Apologies for the confusion, but yeah, it's
that-
4 million.
It's not
this year.
fiscal year calendar.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
We're trying to puzzle through that, by the way.
Yes,
It's been a very
been
lively
hotly
debate
debated
now.
at the Civic Engagement Commission.
How to talk about it. Is it a yearly process? Is it a 1-year process? Is it a 2-year process? Is it a 3-year process?
Yeah, exactly. And we're running 2 processes simultaneously. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move to the next section. I will cut, I don't know, is Barbara on the phone?
I am. Can you hear my background noise? Because I'm at an
No.
event and it's running. I'm sorry.
We can hear you, okay.
Okay, fine. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Barbara Williams. I am the Director of Outreach and Volunteer Services with the CEC, and I'm here to present on the key points of the outreach team and myself for last year's work. Thank you so much for having me. So last year, I want to point out the work that we did during PB's phase 1 idea generation search session, where under the leadership of Benjamin Solitaire, the outreach team managed the idea generation partnership tier 4. And that was where grants of $1,000 was given to organizations to host idea generation sessions. And basically what these organizations did was recruited and they planned the IG sessions, and the CEC was responsible for bringing in community facilitators to actually teach the classes. With the 85 hosts, we were able to have 98 workshops in underserved areas within the 5 boroughs. And this was a great opportunity for us to reach communities we wouldn't have normally served. Further down on the slide, you'll see that we managed to go on to phase 3 with the PB vote, and we expanded to PB Volunteer Ambassador Program, whereas previously we only worked on small sections of the city of Brooklyn and Manhattan. And this time, for the first time, we worked citywide, and we had 23 volunteers. And we had 8 in Manhattan, 2 in Staten Island, 3 in Bronx, 5 in Brooklyn, and 5 in Queens. And through this process, we were actually able to get 3,907 New Yorkers to vote in the PB Phase 3. Next slide. Okay. And as Anila mentioned, for the June election, we worked with her and her team, and we began a new volunteer program for those who needed assistance LEP. And under the guidance of our new Brooklyn engagement specialist, Justin Usher, we were able to have 15 volunteers participate in street canvassing in social media day of action. We reached more than 600 New Yorkers whose languages were Arabic, Bangla, Haitian Creole, Russian, and Urdu. And the language that we used to them was you're able to vote in your language and you're able to bring people with you to the poll to assist you when it comes to voting. And for the first time ever, we had an official celebration to recognize the efforts of our volunteers. And this was held in June at the Gaffney, which is located on Chambers Street. And we had 40 people attend, family, friends, and employees of the CEC. And this would not be possible without the funding of the New York City Service Grant. So we did it in partnership with New York City Service.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments or edits on the outreach section? I'm just noting that we omitted in the deck. Brooklyn, yeah, but it is, I checked and it is in the
Yeah.
annual. Yeah.
It's in the annual report, yes.
And then there's a comma between Haitian and Creole.
Right, I saw that too. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, it's there. but
Right,
it
it's
should-
just Creole, right? It shouldn't be Haitian Creole, it should just be
it's in
Creole.
I see.
Yes, uh-huh.
Did you have a question? Okay. Anyone on the phone, questions, comments on the outreach section? Okay, I'm going to move to Nexus Community Boards. So for community boards, I'll be presenting. Benjamin's not able to be here right now. So we could go to the next slide. The commission provided a variety of trainings in 2024, 2025, the last fiscal year. We continued with parliamentary trainings, worked with the IBO, the Independent Budget Office, Commission for Human Rights, Department of Buildings, Office for Economic Opportunity, that was about data, Department of Records and Information Services to help boards strengthen their record keeping, being board members being more aware of what is the Department of Records and why are we preserving records, Department of Housing, Preservation and Development, and restorative justice de-escalation training for community board members. And overall, we trained, this table gives you the breakdown by borough, how many board members attended these trainings in total. And as a reminder, 553 is not the unique number of board members because some of them may have attended, the other trainings at other times. But the data under it does tell you how many people attended each of the types of workshops. So any questions on the community boards section? And the
I have one question.
Yes.
How did we determine which workshops were going to be offered?
Those in general are going by, I think, three things. One is, what does the charter ask us to do? Two is looking at what board members are requesting. We have done a needs kind of analysis for boards, and also looking at who's available to train. So I think those three things together make up the topics that we offer. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Anyone on the phone? Any questions on community boards?
I'll just note that this is an annual report speaking about what has happened in the previous fiscal year, and I'm content with the presentation. There may be topics that we want to talk about going forward, but that's for a different day.
Yeah, we welcome, thoughts about what we'd like to cover, and maybe we can either have a separate meeting about it or maybe make it part of a public discussion leading up to the annual report. We're generally attempting to start early, but in the summertime, or I guess maybe spring, late spring, we could start talking about what we'd like to see in the annual report in addition to what's required. And in the annual report itself, though we didn't talk about it today, we did cover strategic partnerships, the variety of organizations and entities that we are working with to deliver our programs and services, and also looked at, had the section on the roadmap of what's coming up in the year ahead. And we'll cover a little bit of that when we get to the program update section, hopefully. But for now, I think our review of the annual report is complete. So I wondered if we're ready with the edits that Mark provided to participatory budgeting, whether there's any other edits, I'll ask a final time. Are there any other edits to the annual report?
I'll just say real quick to
Yeah.
Mark's point right now about community boards. I'm having a hard time opening the report, but I'd like to see like which community boards are utilizing these workshops and which are not, so that we can see like which are the community boards that maybe need a little more intentional outreach, or which ones are engaging with the Civic Engagement Commission, so that we can then help build that bridge or fill that gap.
That's a good question. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Anyone on the phone? Final comments or rounds before we get into the vote?
Well, I have.
Yeah.
I was the community boards because I'm one of them. I also think that we should coordinate with board presidents.
Yes.
Because board president does training also for community boards, and some community boards may think, oh, I've done it already, I don't have to do it again, and they don't look at what is being offered because, so I think that's a board president may get them to be more intentional about these trainings.
I think we've been communicating with borough presidents on the trainings, and they've been helping us actually to spread the word, and the de-escalation trainings in particular are in partnership with them. I think you're making we're strengthening that partnership is going to be really important. We also reached out to them to see if they'd like to partner with us on the idea generation sessions as well. And some borough presidents are, and some community boards will also be. So yeah, there's so much to do to fortify the relationships between CEC and all of our intergovernmental partners. So yeah, I really appreciate that point. So moving into the vote.
Yeah, just to cover that for one more quick second, I do think this is in the realm of things that we need to be doing better going forward, as opposed to what needs to be in the annual report. But with that said, the Manhattan Community Boards just completed the Equal Employment Practices Commission audit, which, among other things, imposes after the fact obligations on board staff, and oddly enough, the chair of the board, a volunteer, that they take specific DCAS trainings.
Right.
Without ever telling us that we had to do that. And especially the chair. And which was complicated because sometimes DCAS doesn't let the chair do that, but never mind that. So in the realm of overlapping responsibilities, there are now 3 players that are, and the fact that the chair took the training that was provided either by the CEC or by the relevant borough president didn't matter. The absence of coordination is something that would be worthy to be addressed going forward. But I think it's accurately represented in the annual report as written. And so if I have the floor, I'll offer this opportunity to make a motion to accept the annual report as presented, with thanks to the chair and the staff for a very complete report that makes a very good case for the civic engagements activities in the year past and an argument for additional funding in the year ahead. So I so move.
Second.
Okay, the commissioners on the phone, if you could unmute, we're voting on the annual report. There was a motion to approve the annual report for submission with the edits that Mark provided. There was a second. All in favor, if you could confirm with all.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the annual report is approved with edits for submission. Thank you, everyone, for that. Now we're going to move to the value statement. In the last meeting, we looked at some revisions to the value statements, and commissioners had some comments. And we are moving forward with the edits that we discussed in the last meeting. Just want to note that this value statement is, we're hoping that it will be voted upon and approved so that we can integrate it into the annual report. And I think it's, just like we did this in the past meeting, it will be important to periodically review the value statement to make sure that we're aligned and, that it's reflecting where we are in any particular moment in time. So this is a living and breathing value statement, and we can continue to look at it as needed. So the first edit that we made, this was in response to the concern about how we are not being clear about the word civic. So we added to the life of their neighborhoods, their community, and the city at large to explain civic life. And that was one edit. So does anyone have any comments on that edit? Anyone on the phone? Okay, another edit that we made was that we added the word all before human beings under dignity. We affirm the equal worth of all human beings regardless of identity or ability. We commit to being responsive to residents' needs and concerns and to delivering our programs with respect and care. Next slide. Another edit that we made was related to accountability. We spent some time in the last meeting talking about how we take feedback and what we do with feedback, and not overpromising on how we integrate feedback, but also letting communities know that that feedback is very welcome and it will be integrated and considered. So that's the edit we made. We added, we commit to welcoming feedback from communities we serve and to include and consider that feedback as part of our decision-making process. And then finally, under creativity, we discussed kind of reordering the sentences here, which we did. We moved, we believe creativity, play, and imagination are essential for a thriving democracy to the top of that section. And we seek to honor everyone's story by using art, music, and storytelling to bring people together. We value promoting spaces filled with beauty, joy, and hope for all New Yorkers. Are there any questions or comments on the edits to value statement?
This is Amy online. I just want to thank my commissioners for the excellent conversation we had about these values, and thank you, Sarah, the chair, and the staff for incorporating those changes.
Thank you. Yeah, I really value that conversation as well.
I have one
Yeah.
small thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great conversation too. I appreciate it and I appreciate how it's embodied in the changes. I do have a question about one word in the
Yeah.
accessibility paragraph,
Yes.
which is removing barriers to information and resources for our communities. And I'm just wondering why that modifier is there in that sentence when we don't use it any other
Don't really need.
place.
Yeah.
And it, I'm a little unclear about why we would want to claim kind of like ownership over certain communities or, it's
Yeah.
just, it stood out to me as inconsistent and, raising questions.
Yeah, we can, I mean, does anyone else want to respond to that or have
Sure.
thoughts about
How about-
keeping it or not keeping it?
How about using the same phrase we use in accountability, which is the communities we serve as opposed to our communities?
Or just taking the hour out. for
Yeah, or
community.
just take it out.
Yeah,
Just take that.
yeah, just take the word.
Oh, okay, that's even easier.
Okay. So the proposed edit here is resources for communities without the word for
Out.
or our. Yes. Okay. Does anyone on the phone have additional edits or comments on values?
I think adding the, to Mark's point, the communities we serve to the accessibilities value really just hammers in that point even more. So, and resources for the communities that we serve.
So you're proposing add the communities we serve, similar to what's, because you were saying it's similar to what is under accountability. Is it accountability?
Yeah.
Oh, we took that out though.
We took that out.
Yeah. So I think we can make it the communities we serve.
But don't we want accessibility for everyone?
Yeah, I think.
That's
if we-
why I think they were saying just communities.
If the communities we serve may not,
Yeah.
it's restrictive,
Okay.
the word.
Okay. So just keep it
Simpler is better too.
Just say for communities.
for
we're talking
communities.
Yeah.
In general.
Okay with you? Okay. Okay, so the proposed edit is just making it for communities, removing the word our. Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve the values with the addition, with the edits from last time incorporated as well as today's additional edit of?
Sure. I'd like to propose a motion to approve the edits to the CEC value statements from today and from last time so that we can finalize it today.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, amazing. We have a new value statement. Yay. Okay, we've gotten through a lot of our business in a timely way. Really appreciate everyone's support on this. Before we go to the next section though, it is 12:30. So to do a time check, want to ask if anyone asked to make a comment. Abby, did you get any texts? Okay. Okay, so we can use some of the remaining time to go through the rest of the presentation, which will give you an idea of what's coming up in the next couple of weeks for us as a commission. So where are we starting with that? The implementation application. Who's, Lauren, is that you? Oh. We can move forward to, I think. Yes.
So just to recap where we're at now, cycle 2 is ending this month actually. So cycle 3 has already began, but to recap about the application and selection process now. We had the People's Money Implementation RFI open over the summer. We received a total of 94 proposals to implement 20 projects that were voted to be funded through the People's Money. And in scoring applications, the criteria included ability to fulfill program requirements, organizational experience and connection to the community, strength of community engagement strategy and partnerships, alignment with the needs and priorities that were identified through the PB process, feasibility, clarity, and impact of their implementation plan, sufficient capacity and staffing, and practicality and completeness of the proposed budget. And in scoring applications, we recruited from a wide range of city agencies and our partnerships, which was very helpful to have the expertise of people coming from different backgrounds. So this included the NYC Department of Youth and Community Development, New York City Economic Development Corporation, some people from CUNY, the City University of New York, the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, HHS. And this is a list of the implementation partners who were selected through that process. In yellow are the partners highlighted that are new to engaging with us in implementation. So these are new partners that were reached through our outreach efforts for the RFI, which was 11 new partners for project implementation, and several others on this list are also partners who are returning maybe from a previous year of implementation or from other partnerships such as PB or TRIE, which is very exciting.
Hey, thank you. Wendy.
Thank you, Lauren, for updating us on year 3 of project implementation. I'm going to provide some updates on year 4, kicking off our PB process. And I also just want to share an exciting pilot that we are partnering with the Design by Community studio, which is part of NYC Opportunities Design Studio. They are investing $80,000 in the implementation of one of our projects to work with the community to co-design, so that we are thinking about how we integrate co-design within the community, in how we implement the project. So we're really excited to see how that unfolds and learn from the different practices, to what degree that can be scaled as we work with other organizations. And that will be in Manhattan, and it's Cambio Labs, which is one of our new partners.
What's the project? Youth entrepreneurship. No, that's exciting. So we'll be involving young people in co-designing this project. That's
Yes,
really
there
great.
will be fellows who I believe receive stipends. And so it does add an additional, I think, 6 months to the timeline to allow for that planning time and co-design process to occur. So very excited to begin, resident involvement in every single phase of our process, including project implementation. So we are kicking off year 4 with idea generation sessions next week, October 15th. So just thanks to our incredible team and all of the work that occurred to get those RFI implementations scored, created, awarded, etc. We are working with 45 organizations this year who are PB partners, in addition to our 32 TRIE partners. All of our 33 neighborhoods are going to be covered this year. But one organization is covering more than one community, which is why you see 32 TRIE partners. We already held onboarding and facilitation for all of our partners for TRIE, PB, and implementation. We are currently working with our partners on their outreach plans for idea generation sessions. We're also going to be reaching out to libraries, borough presidents, agencies, city agencies. We are working to pilot partnering with some city agencies to get them in the mix with idea generation sessions, community boards to host sessions, and we can deploy community facilitators who we have been working with over the past year, and prioritizing investing in community leaders and enabling us to deploy to increase our own capacity. We also have been working with the Department of Education, Civics for All. As you may know, the Civics for All has a PB program in schools. They're increasing it from 500 to 700. We had worked with them on a condensed session toolkit and facilitator toolkit, so they can run a session in classrooms. So for teachers who are interested, we can provide the materials and they can run a session in schools.
Is there a question? Maybe someone's on hold.
Some musical accompaniment? Something a little jazzy? All right, maybe that's just feedback. Okay.
Next slide.
Next slide. Highlighting our new partners this year. We've kept the majority of our partners on board in recognition that it is helpful to have some sustainability from one year to the next. We had a practice of re-upping our solicitation every single year. That was very difficult for us, very difficult for programs. And so we've been working to extend contracts in the way that the city typically does. So the ones in bold are the ones that are new to our process, and the other folks are continuing on with us from last year. New idea generation features, just speaking back to the values that Sarah underscores, and as we incorporate our values into the work that we do, what are we learning from organizations? What are we hearing about what's working, and what do we need to be paying attention to? What do we need to be improving? We brought back the city budget poster. Everybody loved that city budget poster. We sort of let it go. You know, the footprint, the amount of paper we're consuming, it's always a tension. But people really felt that was a very visual, useful, and engaging device. So budget posters are back and people are really excited. There's stickers, people get to go up and name the priorities they want to see. We also have a brainstorming board, which is a more visual way for folks to not only think about the projects, right? We have 90 minutes to come up with some project ideas, which isn't a lot of time, in addition to, introducing, the budget and trying to demystify and work with these folks to submit an idea. So just coming up with more devices as visual aids and as engaging and fun activities to kind of bring people together for the sake of the engagement process, but also that we're coming out with some ideas that can be put forward. We also updated our launch video. We're hearing from a lot of folks. Obviously, we want to make sure that we are translating things in multiple languages. So we've been working on that. And we want people to see the outcome of what this whole process, what is the outcome? What you're all here, you're all engaging, you're all contributing. Here's an example of what came out of the process last year, and also as a way to ground people in the process and get people excited and inspired about what's possible. Right, and then the last thing is we have designed the sessions to be collective. We have had people in the past kind of everyone submit the idea. The problem with that is that we kind of see very similar ideas, just differently worded. And it's important, I think, for us to move that democratic process up to the very, very front so that it's collective. People are coming together. People are having conversations. People are even deliberating in the very beginning phase of our process. And so the idea is that each table with those devices that we're giving them, with the brainstorming board, they're coming up with one idea together through consensus and through, some deliberation, some discussion. That also will reduce hopefully, the number of ideas we're getting. As I noted earlier, we had 3,700 ideas. It's a lot of ideas for us to be vetting, and we're hearing a lot from organizations. They want to be able to know what happened to their project. And one way to do that is to reduce the number of ideas so that we can tell that story better and show the journey of idea from submission to ballot. The session flow this year, it's pretty similar to what it was last year in the sense that we start off with introduction. We want people to get to know each other a little bit, some fun icebreaker exercises. Again, those budget posters, learning about the budget, understanding what the process is so they know how the idea generation session fits in to the whole cycle. We have our activities. We have folks come together. Then we share out. There's a share out of the ideas. And we want to make sure they have time to do that survey for us, and also have an opportunity to fill out an application for the Borough Assemblies if they are interested. So that is a high-level overview of what we're up to. An idea generation session for this year, a recap for what we're doing in the TRIE space. We continued on with 21 community-based organizations, and we did that based in part on evaluations that we jointly did together. So our evaluation of their work with us and their own evaluation of their work with us. For any organization that had difficulty meeting meeting the deliverables or chose not to continue, we opened the application so folks still had a chance to reapply. Of those who reapplied, 3 were awarded and the remainder are new partners. The awards went out, notification of the award went out on September 5th. They have been onboarded and staff have been conducting additional meetings. We want to be transparent. So if folks ask for feedback on why they were not chosen, we provide it. So those meetings have been taking place. Next slide, you'll just see the folks who are new this year. Some of them may have been with us in the previous years. Some have worked with us in other capacities. For example, the Mothers Matter organization that was an implementer is now a TRIE partner. Our goals for the year are in many ways a continuation and strengthening of the way we've been working with our partners and coalitions. We are excited that we've secured partners and we've covered all 33 neighborhoods. We have had difficulty in some neighborhoods getting partners. We've recruited and we've had to kind of fill holes in other ways by bringing other partners in, but this year we've covered all 33, which is fantastic. We are also collaborating with the Mayor's Office of Equity and Racial Justice. They're our funding partner, and also to just continue to think about ways to bring other city agencies into our space as a multi-sector collaboration, and building out our collaboration between the neighborhood administrators and our implementing partners. Our implementing partners, I think, benefit in many ways from working with their TRIE organizations who are there on the ground in those neighborhoods. And there's some more discrete deliverables that we put forth this year for ways that they can be partnering. And then, of course, continuing to support the people's money in all of our phases, including the assembly phase. So what's next? The TNAs will be hosting their first coalition meetings between now and October 31st. All of our borough coordinators are working with them to finalize their plans for hosting all of their sessions. And in partnership with the new school, that curriculum that we mentioned, that we're working with all the implementing partners, we extended that as an offering, not a requirement, to our TRIE organizations, and a number of them have taken us up on it. It is not connected to the people's money. It is not connected to their deliverable. It is purely professional development opportunity that we wanted to offer to our TRIE partners. And again, another example of how we're trying to invest in these organizations and in these coalitions to serve their communities. The end. Thank you.
Any questions? Coming up with PB? Anyone on the phone, the WebEx, have a question? Okay.
Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. And I'll cover the community boards and the voter language program. So coming up, we have trainings that we are scheduling. De-escalating conflicts, which is a 2-hour workshop that we are partnering with borough presidents on. And so it's a borough-based workshop. And then also working with individual community boards to request parliamentary procedures, as well to deliver to the board specifically. This is different from the model where we're just creating a training and letting board members across the city sign up. So we're working with individual boards on that. There are workshops, interesting workshop coming up, social media for outreach. This is actually a topic that was requested by boards when we did our very first needs assessment way back, like during the pandemic. So it's good that we're able to offer it now, continuing to offer language access for community boards, and also voting and accessibility with the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities. And finally, with the voter language assistance program, we already voted on the changes. We can go to the next slide. We voted on the changes to the methodology. So in the November election, you will see the number of poll sites that will be served during the election for each language. And finally, we are working with our community-based partners. We had another RFI open and we received 26 applications, 15 organizations selected to run the voter information sessions in language between October 13th and November 3rd. And they'll be looking at the ballot measures, voting rights, including right to bring an interpreter to the polls and our interpretation services. And we will be providing the content and the training to the partners who will deliver this. And I also want to just take a moment to really the team has been remarkable. We have run in the past, 5 weeks or 6 weeks, run 4 RFIs. Is it 6 weeks? Anyway, it's like 2 within the last 2 months. I don't remember when we sent out the first one, but we have run 4 RFIs, and the team has been involved in reviewing those applications. Has also involved partners as well. So it's been a remarkable undertaking and very successful. So I just want to congratulate the team, and it really, really builds and fortifies our connections on the ground when we're working with these partners. So thanks so much to the team. And that's what's happening in the next couple of weeks. A lot happening. There's also other ongoing, one thing that we didn't mention, but we should mention here, it's not in the deck, but the Civic Engagement Commission partnered with Mount Sinai on a grant application to the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to explore the integration of data to build health equity through the PB process. And we actually were awarded that funding. I don't remember the total number. They got 300? They got over 300. Yeah. So that's a really exciting project. Yeah, Robert Wood Johnson's first time looking closely at participatory budgeting. So we're really excited to see. And really the goal of that research is to look closely at how we're integrating and building data literacy in communities, so that when people are coming up with ideas, if they can use data to propose ideas and how we can better integrate these ideas into the process, and ultimately how successful, were the projects that were health focused? Did they change health behavior and health equity in any way? And it's really kind of a pilot research project that we're really excited about. So yes.
That would be nice. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Yes. Okay. So we are at what time? 12:50. Wow. I think we got through a lot of our agenda. So we can, does anyone have any other questions, comments? Our next meeting, I guess, will be in December. Did we set a date? I don't remember. Did we set a date? We do have a date for December. Okay.
First Thursday is 4th.
4th. Okay. Amazing. So we can give everyone back a few minutes if we can vote to end the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor to end our public meeting? Any opposed? All right, hearing no opposition to ending the meeting, we will close our meeting. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Yes. Good with you to keep this.
Sure.
Oh, do you want it back?
No.
Oh.